Hello, everyone, and welcome and greetings to you from cold South Africa, and wishing you all the best for the Ecsite conference in nice sunny Malta. And I hope that you're having some very fruitful engagements and discussions. This session is about knowing, growing, and showing tools and frameworks for creating STEM equity experiences in science centers and museums. And why is this a challenge, an imperative, and an issue of concern? Science centers and museums are at the forefront of the decolonization agenda in science communication. This is because of their historical and contemporary modes of operation, inherently and predominantly as sites of Eurocentric hegemonic knowledge, communication, and cultural imperialism. This is the shared burden of science centers and museums in both the global North and South regions of the world, due to the legacies of colonialism. Thus, in both the global North and South, they suffer from the same lack of localized contexts in terms of being truly reflective and inclusive of the sociocultural contexts and/or racial diversity, epistemic traditions, and norms of their diverse local communities. And how do we move forward? In attempting to plot a way forward, myself and 30 other colleagues from across the world have got together to produce a groundbreaking book volume, which will be published shortly in July, entitled Race and Sociocultural Inclusion in Science Communication, Innovation, Decolonization, and Transformation. And I would like to share with you all some of the key learnings and good practice strategies from this book that relate specifically to science centers and museums. The first aspect of what we have learned in this seminal book is the profound nature of the challenges that science centers and museums face across the globe in truly delivering STEM equity experiences for all, inclusively and consistently, within their institutional frameworks and practices. These challenges are demonstrated across a range of issues, from the lack of race, gender, diversity, and inclusion in their staff and explainer profiles across all areas of activity, to the lack of inclusive narratives and representations with regard to exhibits, and the failure to contextualize knowledge with and for their diverse local communities. Inherent in these challenges is the failure to deliver on their core mandate of brokering scientific knowledge in ways and means that empower the diversity of their local communities through inculcating, valuing, and centering knowledge from diverse sources, indigenous, ancestral, and from the life worlds of their visitors. It seems that the epistemic dominance of Western Eurocentric knowledge is so imposing in these institutions that many simply either do not or cannot overcome its pervasive influences on how they operate as brokers of knowledge from and for all. So what good practices have we learned from science centers and museums that have worked to overcome these challenges and have advanced the delivery of inclusive and equitable STEM experiences for all? Firstly, racial and gender diversity in staffing explainers is highly, highly critical. You cannot give what you don't have. The enhanced perspectives and wide-angled lenses on equity and inclusion that science centers and museums gain from their diverse explainers cannot be overstated. They really are your brain's trust, and thus your first line of approach to delivering equitable and inclusive STEM knowledge and experiences in your science center or museum. Secondly, capacity building and training of these diverse staff explainers is highly crucial to inculcating and sustaining inclusive habits of mind, such as curiosity, engagement, persistence, flexibility, empathy, and being personable, as informed by the good practices of the New York Hall of Science in the book. These transformative habits of mind help explainers to respond nimbly to the diverse needs of visitors with diverse, different perspectives, cultural backgrounds, experiences, and interests. In addition, this capacity building training framework should also embed values, insights, and motivations from the lived experiences of these diverse explainers themselves. Thirdly, science centers and museums should intentionally engage with visitors and diverse local communities to bring on board lay epistemologies and create an enabling environment that will engender the sharing and affirming of inclusive knowledge from all sections of their local communities, equally valued, welcomed, and engaged. Other recommendations from chapters in the book include science centers and museums should work to deliver systemic change in STEM equity and inclusion experiences through moving from the limitations of integration tactics, which simply create silos of superficial integration, to the multi-dimensioned lenses of inclusion strategies. The rationale here is of good practice strategies that are powered by the leveraging of mission-driven intentionality, blended language programming, universal design principles, equitable collaborative partnerships with minority communities, and fully addressing the chain of accessibility for excluded groups within and beyond their institutional settings and contexts. Finally, a key overarching learning from the book is that the systematic and sustainable transformation of science centers and museums for the delivery of equity and inclusion in STEM experiences takes time. It takes a long time. But once initiated, it needs to be reflectively driven in a constant and consistent forward-moving direction over time. It is a never-ending endeavor. There is no time where you can get complacent and assume that you have arrived and you are sorted out. The minute you do that, you regress. You have to keep moving forward over time. It is challenging, but highly, equally rewarding. In this regard, the 10-year and still ongoing journeys of the New York Hall of Science and the Museum of Us, both in the United States, as described in the book, are highly illustrative and should hopefully serve as encouragement and inspiration for other science centers and museums. And we really hope that when you get to read this book, you will be able to learn more from the experiences of these and other science centers and museums that have truly gone on this transformative journey. And I wish you all the best with the rest of the session and the Ecsite conference. Thank you.